Look, there's something we need to talk about. Something people don't say out loud, but everyone knows is true. We love villains. Real ones. The people who broke every rule, crushed everyone in their path, and built empires on anyone stupid enough to get in their way. And nobody embodies that pure savage energy more than Cornelius Vanderbilt. This man started with nothing, a boat, and he turned it into $100 million. In 1877 dollars. That's roughly $2.5 billion today. He destroyed competitors. He bribed politicians. He ruined anyone who crossed him. And when he died, he was the richest man in America. People hated him, and people worshipped him, because deep down we're fascinated by someone who just doesn't give a damn. So let's talk about why Cornelius Vanderbilt represents everything we secretly admire about ruthless ambition. The beginning, nothing to lose. Vanderbilt was born in 1794 on Staten Island. Poor family, dropped out of school at 11, couldn't spell, could barely read. But he understood something most people never figure out. The rules don't matter if you're willing to break them. At 16, he borrowed $100 from his mother to buy a small boat, started running passengers between Staten Island and Manhattan, and immediately he saw the game. Other ferry operators charged set rates, had schedules, played by rules. Vanderbilt undercut them, ran boats faster, worked longer, charged less, and when competitors complained, he didn't care. By 18, he was making $1,000 a year, more than most adults in New York, and he was just getting started. The steamboat wars, pure aggression. In the 1820s, steamboats were the future, but there was a problem. Aaron Ogden had a monopoly on steamboat traffic in New York waters, legal monopoly, granted by the state. Most people would have given up, respected the monopoly. Vanderbilt said, "Watch this." He went to work for Thomas Gibbons, who was fighting the monopoly in court, and while the legal battle dragged on, Vanderbilt ran steamboats anyway. Illegally. He'd get arrested, pay the fine, go right back out the next day. The monopoly tried to stop him. They couldn't. He was too fast, too aggressive, too willing to absorb the costs of breaking the law. In 1824, the Supreme Court ruled in Gibbons versus Ogden that states couldn't grant monopolies on interstate commerce. The monopoly was dead. Vanderbilt had won. Not because he was smarter, not because he was more ethical, because he was more ruthless. The Commodore, domination through fear. By the 1830s, Vanderbilt was running steamboat lines up and down the East Coast. His strategy was simple, brutal, effective. Enter a market, slash prices so low no one could compete. Run at a loss for months, sometimes years. Watch competitors bleed money. Then when they were desperate, he'd offer a deal. Sell me your business for pennies, or I'll keep undercutting you until you go bankrupt. Most sold. The ones who didn't, Vanderbilt destroyed them. He had more capital, more boats, more willingness to lose money short-term to win long-term. People called him the Commodore, not as a compliment, as a warning. He wasn't hiding what he was doing. He openly bragged about crushing competitors. He'd tell rivals to their faces he was going to ruin them, and then he'd do it. There's a famous quote, "Law, what do I care about law? Ain't I got the power?" He probably never said it exactly like that, but it captures the energy, the pure belief that power is the only thing that matters. The Nicaragua route, outsmarting everyone. In the 1850s, the California gold rush was in full swing. The fastest route from East Coast to California was through Nicaragua. Vanderbilt built a route through Nicaragua using steamships and a short overland passage, faster and cheaper than competition. He dominated the market. Then two business partners tried to cut him out. William Walker and Charles Morgan thought they could take over and push Vanderbilt aside. Bad idea. Vanderbilt didn't sue. He went to war. He funded a rival government in Nicaragua, personally financed a military campaign to overthrow Walker, built competing routes, slashed prices so aggressively that Morgan's company hemorrhaged money. Then he wrote them a letter. One sentence. "Gentlemen, you have undertaken to cheat me. I won't sue you, for the law is too slow. I'll ruin you." And he did. Within 2 years, both men were out. Vanderbilt had his Nicaragua route back, and everyone got the message. Don't cross the Commodore. The Railroad Wars, the final boss. In his 60s, when most people think about retirement, Vanderbilt decided to get into railroads. He approached it the same way: aggression, consolidation, domination. He started buying up railroads, the New York and Harlem, the Hudson River, the New York Central. He didn't just buy them, he merged them, built a rail network that controlled access to New York City, If you wanted to move freight in or out of New York, you went through Vanderbilt. And he set the prices. Competitors tried to fight. Vanderbilt crushed them. He had more money, more political connections, more willingness to play dirty. There's a story about him bribing the New York legislature to block a competing railroad. When someone accused him of corruption, he supposedly said, "What's the use of being rich if you can't buy the legislature?" Again, probably embellished, but it captures who he was, a man who understood that in capitalism, the guy with the most money makes the rules. Why we love this. Cornelius Vanderbilt was not a good person. He was ruthless. He destroyed lives. He didn't care about ethics or fairness, but we're fascinated. Why? Because he represents something we fantasize about. Pure ambition. No apologies. Just raw power. In everyday life, we're told to be nice, be fair, play by rules, and most of us do. But part of us wonders what it would be like to just say no, to take what we want, to crush anyone in the way. We don't do it because we have empathy and ethics, but we're drawn to people who did, because they lived the fantasy we're too civilized to act on. Vanderbilt didn't calculate. He didn't overthink. He saw what he wanted and took it. When people tried to stop him, he destroyed them. That's terrifying and intoxicating. In a world where most of us feel powerless, stuck in jobs we hate, navigating systems designed to keep us in place, there's something satisfying about watching someone who refused to play that game. Vanderbilt looked at the rules and said, "These don't apply to me," and he had the power to make it true. That's not admirable, but it's magnetic. The lesson: Vanderbilt didn't invent steamboats or railroads. He wasn't a technological genius, wasn't even educated, but he understood leverage. In capitalism, the person willing to be most ruthless usually wins, and he was willing to go further than anyone. Operate at a loss to destroy competitors, bribe politicians, fund military coups, ruin lives without a second thought. And it worked. He became the richest man in America. Does that make him a hero? No. Role model? Absolutely not. But fascinating? Yes. Because Vanderbilt is a mirror. He shows us what pure ambition looks like without ethics or empathy, and we're still talking about him 150 years later. We might not like what he did, but we can't look away. The bottom line. Cornelius Vanderbilt was a savage. He crushed everyone in his path, built an empire on ruthlessness, bribery, and destroying anyone who challenged him. And we love it, not because we want to be like him, but because he represents the fantasy of absolute power. The idea that if you're strong enough, ruthless enough, you can take whatever you want. That's the uncomfortable truth. He wasn't constrained by the things that constrain us. And there's something deeply compelling about watching someone operate at that level. The Commodore didn't care what you thought. He didn't care about fairness or rules. He cared about winning, and he did. That's pure savage energy, and that's why we can't stop talking about it.